Hi, I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Andrea.
We're Natural Be Ewe Yarns, and this is the second week of our
Autumn make-along.
Exactly.
All about autumn.
Yeah, all about autumn. And autumn is freezing, so we need some woolen knitted things or crocheted things to keep us warm outside because
we sure do.
The coats just aren't cutting it.
No, especially the neck.
Yeah, you always get a cold neck, eh?
Yeah.
Even me today, I wanted to wear something that was going to warm me up, and rather than put on
even here in the house
a sweater, yeah.
I've got this oldie but goodie.
The cabin cloak, yeah.
Yeah, the 4-season cabin cloak, which is sort of fitting for us working with minis, right?
Right, because that was the pattern that we created for our first ever advent calendar. And then we've stopped creating patterns and just decided to do knit-alongs with you guys instead.
Because not everybody wants to use all their minis all at once.
And if you do, you tend to have like a project in mind. That being said, I listed 4 or 5 different patterns this year as suggestions in the advent calendar. And 4 each for either knitted pattern suggestions or crocheted, so that, you know, it's user-friendly. And some of the patterns are spectacular. We might just do a knit-along, make-along in January or February where we choose one of those patterns. And,
yes.
And maybe we will use all our minis this year. But
I keep thinking I should have kept 2 for me.
2 advent calendars. We already decided to keep 1 each.
Yeah. But
it's
like,
funny
I like the big projects, but there's so many other projects.
Someone asked yesterday if we had an extra one, and you didn't even hesitate. You said, they're all sold out.
Nope.
She's hoarding one. That's how much we like this year's
advent calendar. If we're going to knit with you or crochet with you, then it would be nice that we have the same colors.
Yeah. And
the same quantities of each color. And so it makes it better for all the people that have advent calendars to be able to relate to what we're doing. And this is who our main audience is.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah.
That, and, you know.
So if you didn't get one,
it gives
next
us
year,
options on what
please just, you know,
pre-order or jump on the bandwagon when I send out multiple newsletters. There's lots of options to get an advent calendar, but only up until a certain point. Yeah, by the first week in November, they're definitely all gone.
Yeah.
That being said, Canada Post strike sort of sets things back for shipping. If you are receiving an advent calendar and you live out of province, we ship them today via...
Yesterday.
Yes, but I think the truck doesn't go out until today.
Okay, but still.
Yeah, by UPS standard mail, so they're definitely going to get to you in time.
Yes, and rather than have them possibly get stolen off your front porch, we've got them being held for you at the depot closest to where you live. Mm-hmm. And Jasmine actually spent time on Google Maps making sure that wasn't too far away from
I
people.
made sure the furthest it is from anyone is 10 minutes. I made sure that you didn't have to go too far out of your way. Yeah, but they are a big purchase item, and I'd hate for someone to steal it or for it to get damaged in poor weather conditions or anything like that. So they will be toasty warm and safe at a pickup location for you, and you'll get an email when they're ready for pickup with all the details. That being said, if you're knitting along, let's get into it.
Yes.
What are we doing?
So while my first project cast on for this... Oh, you go.
No, you go first.
She's so excited.
I am. Go on.
It's so beautiful.
Go on. No, go on. We'll get to it. We'll just build the suspense.
So the first one that I cast on was, what are these called?
The Fade Walker mitten, or fingerless mitt.
Yeah, and what I like about them is the wrist comes up higher. Like, look at that.
You could have made them longer.
I wanted to see what the pattern did. So I haven't done the thumb. I thought I'd wait until both of them were ready and do both of the thumbs on the same day, but I haven't done the ends either. But they come up nice and high, and some fingerless mitts are like
they end at the first knuckle almost.
Yeah, so here, if you're carrying something, you're not going to have any, it's not going to hurt. You know how sometimes if the handle on a bag isn't very nice and it cuts in? This is going to cushion that. So you can do your groceries in style and still stay warm.
Yeah, and the thing about fingerless mitts, now that we all have touchscreen phones, you don't have to, take your hand out of your mitten or your glove in order to place a call or
answer the phone.
Yeah.
Just pull over to the side of the road. But,
of course.
But somebody was in the shop yesterday and they said that, she said that what she likes to do is make the fingerless mitts a little big and then wear them over her leather gloves. Because that way she still has a grip on the steering wheel, but her hands are warmer, especially on those really cold mornings when you've got
I've seen that done before. It's really stylish.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did the smallest size, though, because you thought that they were quite...
Yeah, and they fit me great. See, there's even there's give, but I did do the smallest size.
I like that it's like a chevron pattern.
Yes.
I've knit quite a few things chevron. I really like the way it looks. And the fade is, these are more my colors than yours.
Yeah, they're not going to be mine.
Purple and peachy tones.
And I did 4 colors rather than 5. So with the last color change, I just striped it for longer so that it wouldn't be any one color more than the other. But what did you do?
Oh wait, did they go with my cowl? Kind of, not exactly, but that's okay.
You can't have them.
So I'm working on the Slip Away Cowl by Kate Lytton.
It's beautiful.
I went to tag her in my first post about it, and it turns out she has quite a following because she's also known as the Crazy Sock Lady, and she has a podcast.
I didn't know that.
And she does a lot of sock patterns. So if you're into that kind of thing, definitely check out her Ravelry.
And if you like podcasts, check out her
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I'm going to link her below, her YouTube channel. And if you're looking for another podcast or you love knitting socks, that might be something you really enjoy checking out.
I'm going to have to go on a deep dive on Ravelry, aren't I?
She's got a lot of patterns. Or, I don't know if she has a lot of patterns. I was on her Instagram. She has a lot of socks knit. Something like... She was on sock number 48 or something for the year on one post I clicked on.
Wow.
So she knits quite a lot of socks.
I wonder if there's socks to match this.
I wonder. Possibly. So I haven't blocked it yet because I haven't finished. I have 2 more rounds of ribbing before I cast off. The pattern recommends Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy Bind Off because that gives you a little bit of extra give. I do believe this is the top that's going to be around my neck. So... yeah, normally when I do a cast off, I go up a needle size just to make sure it's loose enough. But with Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy Bind Off, you don't need to. You're basically wrapping your yarn around the needle, and in which direction you wrap depends on whether you are knitting into a stitch or purling into the stitch. But then you cast off that extra... let's call it a yarn over as you go, which gives it just a little bit more material, a little bit more yarn in there.
Easier to get over your head.
But try not to cast off too loose. I know that goes against sort of...
because then you get that wibble.
Everything you've been taught. But yeah, then it starts to sort of flare, like,
it.
bell-bottom jeans, and you don't want that. So, yeah. I don't know what else to say.
That's okay.
I always have to watch the video every time to remember in which direction to wrap the yarn. So I'm going to link the video below so that you can watch it as well as you cast off.
Okay, so the other patterns that we tackled...
I do love my color choice. I just want to say that. It is gorgeous. I can't wait to wear it.
I tried my hand at crochet, and I'm getting better. I have crocheted in the past, but not for an awful long time. And I'm doing... which one is this one called?
Anna's... Scrappy Sock Cowl, or... Abba, that's it.
Abba Sock Cowl. Scrappy Sock. So each row is a different color of sock yarn left over, and I used a different color of various different mini balls that I have. As a matter of fact,
Let me hold it a little closer so they can see how it
Yeah,
all
that's a
plays
good
out.
idea.
It's really pretty.
Yeah, at first I didn't think so, but it's really, the more colors you use, the more beautiful it gets.
Mm-hmm.
It's like stained glass.
And it's one color per row, right?
Yeah.
Even if you have more of that color, you just keep switching.
Can you see all my colors? Oops.
No, I think you're going to have to take them out. Not like that. Okay.
So I've got various purples, purple and blue, and then pink, leading into more pink.
I can't hold them all here.
I know. So these ones, and then here's one that's pink and peachy and yellow. And I think
some of these colors. Like this one is gorgeous.
I've got 3 different yellows
and
here.
Look at them beside each other. And then you add in, I like this golden yellow. Ooh, that's pretty.
And I think this was something like driftwood or something.
Mm-hmm. So you've got a brown.
Yeah, and this
brown
was
and
sea glass. And then just a blue.
Mm-hmm.
This was
more of that purple. I forget what we called
purple
it.
And blue. I don't know what it was called. We're
Anyway,
doing something similar
We're
now.
getting down to the end of the Advent calendar minis, right? And you probably are as well after knitting with them all year.
If you're like me, you keep pieces like this.
Mm-hmm. So
it's nice to be able to use them up.
So this cowl is great for that.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of the patterns we're working on are great for scraps as well. I know that somebody knit the fingerless mitts that Andrea just showed off and then used those same minis in this cowl. That's how much yarn there was left over. So, and they both look gorgeous. And then she's got a matching set, really.
Right.
So, what else was I going to say?
I like this.
Yeah. And I'm proud of you for trying crochet. You know.
I would like to do some of the crochet/knit combination patterns. And so getting into the practice of doing a little bit of crochet was nice again. All I've ever done is Afghans and granny squares. So,
isn't some of the crochet knit patterns like granny squares turned into a cardigan?
Yes.
With knitted sleeves or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned it last time. There's a pair of socks with teeny tiny little granny squares that go around the top. But anyway, I digress. My problem with crochet is, and why I've always preferred knitting, is that with knitting, there's definitely no confusion about where the next stitch is. And when I first started at the bottom of this, I really didn't know where to stab it.
Well,
and so the bottom isn't as nice as the top because now the stitches are in the positions they're supposed to be with each other. And it really does look prettier than it did at the beginning.
Yeah.
But it's going to be like inside my coat and I'm not starting over.
No, you're learning as you go.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for trying it.
Yeah. So
the patterns that we've covered, hat squared, you've already knit. Anyone who didn't see it the first time, here it is again. Hat squared. I'm not going to put it on. I don't want to mess up my ponytail, but it's cute. And that's like a double layered hat, right? One inside the other.
Yep.
Reversible. You can change what color you feel like or match it to your outfit, etc., etc. Lots of fun to make that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the cowl. And last week I spoke a lot about the Marling Darling socks and how to do color fades while marling many different yarns together at the same time. And that's
4 strands, right?
Yes.
So 3 strands of fingering and a strand of mohair, or if you don't have mohair, you use 4 strands of fingering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's a great way to use up
I
bits.
did it on a 3.75 needle, which means that rather than being slouchy socks, they have a lot of
body to them.
Yeah, but they're structured, like
right.
That's
what I meant.
Yes, they stay on your feet. They're warm. They're durable. Like they feel really, really thick and heavy duty, which is exactly what you want for a slipper. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else was I going to say? There was the fingerless mix, and then there was another pattern.
The crocheted hat.
Yeah, but before that, do you remember all the patterns? The cowl, the hat squared, the Fade Walker mitts, Marling Darling. Oh, and then the 2 crochet patterns. The one you're working on and the crocheted hat, which,
yes.
the Snow Mountain hat. I took a look at it.
So we have covered all of them today.
I was feeling very adventurous about the Snow Mountain hat because it's gorgeous, but it's way beyond my skill set as a novice.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to attempt that one either. But if you do, please share. Let us, and maybe just give us some hints and tips, because it would be nice to possibly feel confident enough to try it.
Exactly, I agree. That being said, somebody has asked us what's next. So if you've managed to make it through all of these patterns...
A couple of people have made it through all of them.
And you still want to keep knitting with us. And I'm at the end here, so I'm thinking what's next. I've knit the other stuff. Right? So we have several patterns that we are recommending today.
Right, well, first of all, why don't we show the ones that are on the table?
Well, that has to do with when we talk about the patterns we're recommending.
Oh, okay.
So, first off, we're recommending the Sprocket Hat because, was it this year or last year? Last year we did the Sprocket Sweater, and we did, and we did the Sprocket Socks in our Summer of Socks. And so
this is the sock here.
Yep, that's why I said we'll show it off while it comes up. So now we're recommending the Sprocket Hat. If you're still looking to find, it's gorgeous. And again, it's mosaic knitting, just like with the cowl, the Slip Away Cowl. You are slipping your stitches to create interesting, this is almost like gears, interlocking gears. What's that called?
Sprockets.
Sprockets. No shit. Anyway, it's a really interesting pattern, and you've been meaning to make the hat for a while. So
yes, and it's a pattern by a Canadian designer.
Can you show them when you zoomed in? No, like when you zoomed in like that. Yep, a Canadian designer named Pippin is.
Pippin is her, I think her Instagram name.
Yeah, it's what she goes by.
Yeah, but her name is Megan Nodecker.
Okay.
She's out in BC, and she actually was the designer of the Sprocket sweater that we all knit together and the Aster tee.
Yes.
And she has a podcast as well.
Exactly. So lots to check out.
Plus her knit patterns are really well knit, written. Easy to follow.
So the Sprocket Hat is with fingering and meant to be used with minis or scraps, so it's perfect.
Right.
It is a paid pattern, but I think it's worth it.
Yes.
While we're on the subject of things that are on the table, another one that we're recommending are the Norwand fingerless mitts by Birgit Grunwald. And these are a really unique take on fingerless mitts. I'm going to let Andrea explain it because she knit them.
You start with the thumb on these ones. I don't know if you can see that picture. And apparently her family calls them turkey sweaters because of the neck. This is like the turtleneck for a turkey.
Oh, okay. So but you're starting with the thumb and you're radiating out.
Yeah, which is really rather cool.
You can kind of see the lines of increases along my palm here.
And these mittens are the Norwand, but Birgit Grunwald is the designer, and she actually has a variety of patterns with different designs. There's one with reindeer.
Oh, cool.
So that would be really neat for a Christmas gift or any kind of, maybe they're not reindeer, maybe they're elk.
Yeah.
Or something.
Exactly.
But,
so
there they are.
They also use, is it minis or what do they need in terms of weight and consistency?
They're knit on a 2.5 millimeter needle, and they need 3 colors. It doesn't say
how much of each.
No.
Well, I know that you didn't use very many for these other fingerless mitts here, so I can't imagine that
I think
3 minis would definitely do it.
right. Well, and one part is one color background and the other one is another color background. So I'm thinking a mini would probably do it.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says altogether 210 meters. So each mini is around 100 meters, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you should be fine.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got the Sprocket, the Norwand. If you're not satisfied yet, that's okay. We found a couple more hats for you. My pattern, the Marling Darling Socks, is all about marling colors together. And if you really enjoyed that and you want to keep marling things, we have another couple patterns for you. It's not this one, but I'm going to show off marling in a second. I'm talking about the Scrappy Marl by Beta Jessic. She, Scrappy Marl, right there. Yep.
This one.
It's a gorgeous
see
hat.
if I can make it bigger.
And you're marling, again, just 2 strands together this time. So the consistency of a DK weight rather than chunky like you did with my socks.
And actually, if you have a favorite hat pattern in a DK weight, you can marl it and fade it yourself. But I kind of like the shape of this hat.
I like the shape of this one. It is slouchy. You don't have to knit it quite that long if you don't like a slouchy hat.
The top looks interesting. It doesn't look like your regular decrease.
And it is a free pattern. So
I didn't know that.
The best part about marling is the way the colors interact together. It's best with multi-hued yarns or speckled yarns, but you can use 2 different solids, or a solid and a speckle.
Well, that's what
like
work socks are, right? They're marled. 2 colors.
Yeah. I'm showing off what you've done before. This was a basic hat pattern. I think it was one from Tin Can Knits.
It is. It's
Is it called Barley?
That's it.
Is it the Barley hat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And barley comes in fingering and in DK, I think. So I used the DK.
Right. So you used natural dyed skein with a skein of Revive from the store, actually. And you did it in fingerless mitts, too. So, again, you could just take any pattern and hold your yarns double.
Well, and that really particular pattern, those fingerless mitts you're wearing, I think I just used the Call Me Cozy pattern, and instead of making it a mitten, I made it a fingerless mitten.
That's exactly what you did. But I love the way that 2 colors play together, and I'm looking forward to actually doing that next, the Scrappy Marl.
Yeah, the Scrappy Marl is by Beta Jessic. She's the designer. And that's published in Hedgehog Fibers.
I already mentioned her name. We both said it differently.
Okay.
And because we couldn't decide, when people ask us what patterns to knit next, we can't decide. We want to knit it all. Speaking of marling, the Marled family mittens.
Okay.
Let's go to that one next.
So this is just crazy stripes if you're marling just small bits. Or you can actually use sock yarn.
But they're perfect for...
You can also do the entire mitten with 2 different colors.
Like I just showed off.
Right.
Yeah. But they're perfect for your scraps.
Yeah.
Especially when you get like self-striping sock yarn and you have some in your stash and you have some of your minis left and the colors kind of go together, just mix and match and
this one obviously is being marled with a self-striping yarn of some sort. Anyway, that looks, and then they're warmer too, right?
So that's my whole point. I'm saying you can use yarn that isn't ours, like a self-striping sock yarn, and pair it with some of your leftover minis from your stash that are ours, and they'll probably coordinate as you knit them up.
Yes.
Okay. You wanted to mention one more hat because you love it.
But now I've lost where I'm supposed to be.
How do you do that? How did you do that?
I was in Ravelry, and the next thing you know, I was in outer space.
Here we go. Okay.
I'm really not good with this. I'm going to have tea.
I don't know. I set all the tabs open so that we could show off the patterns as we went, and she ended up somewhere else.
I looked really good for a while, but Jasmine actually put it all together for me.
So the final pattern, and Joe, I hope you found something among all the ones we're suggesting that you like.
She already made these.
Oh dear, okay. So Moorings by Vanessa Ewing.
This is really cool.
It's such a cool hat. So the cowl, Slip Away, is mosaic knit, and so is this hat.
But
and
it's got some very interesting things happening.
Here's another picture of it done in different yarns. It is gorgeous. It's good. It says it's used for scraps or minis. So again, perfect. And it's featured here with a cowl that matches. So I'm not sure if the cowl is also a pattern available, but if you're looking for a matching set, I highly recommend it. Again, Vanessa Ewing. It's done in a light fingering. Sizes to fit newborn up until adult, a large size.
Oh, that's really
adult.
good. So if you've got scrappy bits left and you've made yourself a dozen hats already, you can make some and give them away at Christmas.
Yes. And while this is a paid pattern, I think it's worth it. And she has a promotion on that if you have 3 patterns of hers in your cart, you get 25% off. You don't need a coupon code. It just you just have to have 3 of her patterns. So look for that matching cowl.
So
actually, the cowl is included. Size, hat, cowl.
Oh.
Fantastic. I might just do this hat. You want to do it. I won't do it.
Well, it's okay. I have some other things in my mind.
No, I have other things in my mind too. It's okay.
We need to not do anything but knit.
I know. And I'm sort of designing stuff at the moment. Like I'm doing, what are those called? Leg warmers. Yeah. Because I have like these high top Doc Martens, the lace up boots that I really love, but they're not ideal for winter. So a pair of leg warmers either to wear over them or under them, and poking out the top and rolled over it would look really sharp. So I thought.
Plus, we love working with the minis and our yarn, obviously, because that's basically what got us started. But we have some other yarns in the shop.
We do, and every once in a while we have to show them off. And I've been doing that this week with posts, and then feeling guilty because I'm not showing off our stuff.
Right. So, and plus I really want to knit with some of those things that we have in there because we've got some really nice yarn.
Yes, we just got in, it's called Heirloom, a Heritage Heirloom Chunky Weight.
The painted one?
The organic one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Painted.
Right.
I guess you could call it that.
It looks hand-dyed. And there's chunky tweed.
Yes.
Plus we have pure merino. It's like when we used to have pure and simple. This is untreated merino. And it comes in the natural colors that the sheep come in. But there's also some dyed ones. And I really like some of those colors.
And I know some people have asked me in the past for oranges, like burnt oranges and golden yellows. And we have some of that in the merino.
Right.
It's called golden and pumpkin.
Then, you know, it's another rabbit hole to go down when you're looking at a catalog of all these yarns. So we've got some Aran tweed, and we've got some silk harmony, which is silk, cotton, and wool, which has a different texture again. And then there's the one that's cotton and wool.
Oh, you're talking about the Eco Harmony. Yeah.
And last year I had knit samples of elf slippers and just your regular Vans that you slip into, and those are felted. So we have Shetland wool that's perfect for that. Yeah. There's so many things.
And it's hard to stay on track with this knit along where we're supposed to only be promoting patterns that we're currently working on.
Well, this is to work with all the people that have the advent calendars. But at the same time, you don't want to knit with fingering weight yarn necessarily all the time, and not necessarily take all the time. Like, I mean, it takes longer to knit with fingering. So if you've got a lot of people on your Christmas list that you want to knit things for, but you don't want it to take until next Christmas, perhaps some of these thicker yarns could be a benefit to you.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't necessarily need another pattern. That this one here, the hat squared, the pattern is written so that it's good for any gauge.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, if you've already knit this, you've already got the pattern for all the yarns that you could possibly have.
And that's what's great about them. Like especially the marling patterns that we've suggested and the free ones at that. There's so much that you can do with it. You don't necessarily have to marl
the whole
yarn.
thing. You can use a thicker yarn and then color block marl part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I agree, yeah.
Because you may have scraps in other yarns that you can incorporate.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I hope we haven't thrown you off base too much by recommending all these new patterns. But people have been asking, so
right.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say that you were going to put a link to the Jenny's Super Stretchy Bind Off.
Everything we've talked about today, all these new patterns, the bind off, all of that is going to be in the show notes, the description below the YouTube video. Links you can click on.
Yep.
I might even throw in YouTube channels to Pip and Pin and what was the one? Crazy Sock Lady, so that if you want to watch more podcasts, you have that opportunity and you know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yes, and these are all very talented women, well, designers. And in our group of adventurous knitting, some of I'm really liking the pictures that people are posting of their projects. Please keep that up. And one person, Joanne, thank you so much. She used 4 minis to make these fingerless mitts, and she has actually in the comments on that post written out when she did the transition of her colors to make it a 4-color pattern rather than a 5-color pattern, and that was very nice and very helpful. Thank you, Jo. Mm-hmm. So if anybody is interested in doing this one next or is working on it now and doesn't want to use all the 5th color, check out the post about these in the group of adventurous knitting.
It was a fantastic tip.
Yeah.
Speaking of tips, I wrote it out, but I didn't speak on it last time because I hadn't gotten to the stage yet. But with the cowl, I chose to have stitch markers every 20 stitches, and the pattern is a 10-stitch repeat. So by doing that, I was sure to know when I came to a stitch marker, I was supposed to end on this stitch. Right. And it makes it so easy as you're knitting along to realize if you've messed up or you've, you catch your mistakes sooner, because not only can you see it in every 20 stitches, you can see the pattern as it develops. But when you get to the end of your repeats and they're off, you're like, oh, and you know which section to check. You're not having to tink back the whole thing. Right. Which I found really helpful. And I don't need them still, but I kept them in to make that point when I was talking about
I love stitch markers. I use them when I'm casting on. I put a stitch marker every 20 stitches that I've cast on, because inevitably you lose track, or someone walks in the room or the phone rings or whatever, and you're like, where was I? So to be able to just count by 20s is super simple. And on top of it, if you know you've got 100, then you need 4 stitch markers, and then after the 4th stitch marker, another 20. And so you don't even need to count the stitch markers if you've got like 1,000, because I just put the number of stitch markers I'm going to need on a little coaster or something beside me, and then when I run out of stitch markers, I know I'm done. Perfect. Mm-hmm. That's a really smart way of doing it. I also found in my stash this row counter that is a progress keeper, beginning of round stitch marker. I don't know if this was something you had before, or I think Barb might have given it to me at some point. I think Barb gave that to you. And it's pretty. You turn the dial on the top and the bottom and the numbers change. I've been using it when I was counting how many rows I did for the first ribbing, the cast on. I used it to count the 28 rows for each of the I'll call them chevrons,
for lack of a better
I'll
word,
have to
for
check
the
to see if we
zigzag.
can get something like that.
Yeah,
Because
I really love
I
it.
actually have one of these knit kits, and it has a clicker to count stitches.
Yeah, but this was easier. Normally, I stop and mark my page to keep note
I
of
like
it.
doing it that way.
No, I like this better. Every time I got to the end of the row, I was promptly reminded, okay, mark your progress.
Oh, because it's right there.
Yes. So it wasn't like something distracted me or it just kept going and didn't even faze me. It's like, it's much bigger than the rest of the stitch markers and it demands my attention. And I found it really useful because as soon as I finished one of the zigzag patterns and I had to repeat, I just reset it to 0 and just kept going.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And, well, if we're talking about keeping track in a pattern, this pattern, it was every single row had directions. So you knew which color you were supposed to be working and where the gusset increases were. And it just spelled it out for you row by row. So I have one of those magnetic boards with the long magnet, and I just moved it for every row.
Mm.
And then that way I knew that I was on the right color, I was doing the right increase, and I was knitting enough rows.
Okay. What is it? How do you keep track? What is your technique or the tool you use? I think that's really important.
Yeah, and what do you really appreciate about some of the things like that are included in patterns?
Yeah.
Because
we should start carrying those boards you talk about. Now that everything's digital and people use digital apps to help them, I don't know how popular it is. You're still analog. You know,
yeah.
And some people they prefer paper copies. They prefer things to keep count. I know that Mabel and Rose, I think she's based out of Halifax or Dartmouth area, and she makes knitting jewelry and stitch markers and things like that.
And she has bracelets with that can be used as rulers because there's a bead every inch. So if you're wearing the bracelet and you need to like do a certain length of cuff, then you, rather than look for your tape measure, you just unhook part of the bracelet and use it to measure your knitting.
Really helpful, yeah.
Yeah.
And stylish. They're really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, maybe we'll carry some of that. There's so many things out there for this, and I think that's part of the fun, right? The accessories that go along with the craft.
Yeah. So let us know what you like and what you'd be interested in and what maybe we should carry. Because that's always helpful too, right? We don't know exactly what we should order in and we don't want it to just sit there and not be useful. So I think that's about it for today.
Yeah, it was a shorter video this week.
I hope that you're all having fun. I hope that you're making progress, and I hope that you're happy with the way that your yarns, if you're marling or what's this, fading, are knitting up. Let us know what you think.
I'm enjoying it. I mean, in 1 week I've basically finished the cowl. I don't know what I'm going to do for the next 3 weeks. I think we're just going to keep going through the patterns, adding more as we go. You can suggest some as well.
Yes, that would be great.
As long as it incorporates minis or can be modified to incorporate minis, I think we're all on the right track. Let's get through our Advent minis because very soon we're going to be opening new surprises every day. So
yeah, and you don't want to get them mixed up.
No.
Well, I don't know. Why not?
No.
Or next year you're going to be doing a lot of marling.
No. Okay, well that's it for us today.
Tonight is knit night. We'll be at A1 Pizza and Waterview Restaurant at 7 p.m. here in Pictou. If you'd like to come out and join us, that would be great. And then next week will be Maker Circle. So.
Yes, and I'll have the link next week when it's Maker Circle.
Right.
For how you connect. Until next time, be natural.
Be you.
Bye.
Happy knitting.